We're ready to look at Bob the toucan today, and he has got that defect on his bill that we want to examine and see if we are able to repair it some. And we're lucky today because we have Dr. Petersky with us to see if we can use some of the dental bonding and fix that crack that is in his beak, and then some of the layers that are on the top could be a problem if they come off. And so we'll get Bob out and examine him, but what we want to start with is being able to secure some of those pieces so that it is the cracks don't crack anymore, and then he won't have any trouble eating.
Okay.
All right, so if you would, will you go and get Bob?
Sure.
And then we'll bring him out and examine
Come
him.
with me. Yeah.
Rocking and rolling.
Pardon me?
You're rocking and rolling.
Okay, good. Dr. Pechersky, how long have you worked as a pediatric dentist?
I've been in pediatric dentistry for 42 years and just retiring now.
What brought you here to do this kind of work?
Well, I was taking an adult education course with my wife, and Dr. Fish was leading a tour of the medical facilities here. And she was describing a procedure that we use in dentistry, but in dentistry, the chemistry of the materials has advanced 7 and 8 generations from what she was describing. So after the class, I just asked her about the materials that bird beaks are made out of, sort of like fingernail material, and was curious to see if our materials could help out and speed up her procedure and make her more effective.
Did you know right away that these bonding agents would work?
Did not know. She was kind enough to give me some beak material from a hawk that had expired, and I took it back to the office and tested different filling materials and bonding agents on the beak to see what worked best, and this is what we came up with.
Any significance or any similarities in working with kids and birds?
Well, there are. We're working with small, delicate, precious individuals on both sides. You have to be accurate. You have to have a plan going in, and you have to be quick. And hopefully this material will give Dr. Fish a lot of speed.
Do the kids squirm more than the birds?
More than Bob.
Bob was
Bob was-
pretty laid back.
Bob was great.
Dr. Fish, just give us a quick run through again of the procedure that you did on the toucan.
The procedure we did today was to repair an injury that Bob sustained to his bill. And birds are incredibly active. They fly, they're athletic, and so we don't really know how Bob injured his bill, but it looks like an impact injury, almost as if he ran into a branch. And those kind of things happen to birds more often than you would think. In the wild, if a toucan or any bird were to injure their beak or bill, they may not be able to eat, and it could be have a terrible outcome. And so we're fortunate that Bob lives here at the National Aviary, and we're able to take some time and attention focusing on his bill repair. Now, what we wanted to do was to get the best way to repair his bill. And as Dr. Petersky said, in veterinary medicine, especially in avian medicine, the techniques we were using were antiquated. And basically, they produced heat and fumes and took a long time to cure and didn't last very long because the bill is like fingernails, and it would flake off. And so basically, by using the light activated dental composites, this newer generation of materials that are strong enough for teeth, it has worked incredibly well on the bird beaks and talons that have damage, and it has really improved the care of our birds.
Is this an advancing development in terms of using human medical practices to help birds and even other animals?
Yeah, I think it's essential that we are melding the two disciplines. We take veterinary medicine and avian medicine as a specialty itself, and then pediatric dentistry, which is another very unique specialty, and be able to take the best of each of those fields, meld them together so that we can create some new techniques to be able to help these birds if they sustain an injury.
Now, you said you wanted to make another point following the surgery. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, it was on this level. Is basically what I think is important is that we continue to work together and figure out ways to refine these techniques, because it is common that birds will have a talon fracture or a beak or bill fracture. Now, Bob's wasn't that severe, but certainly they could have it where an entire tip of a beak could come off, and the bird wouldn't be able to eat. And so there's so much promise to being able to work together and learn these techniques. Now, I'm just learning because Dr. Pechersky is a specialist here, but he's taught me the basics. And to be able to use these light activated composites that are hardening like glass and really lightweight is going to be very promising for future repairs for our birds.
At one point during the procedure, you were referring to various layers. Now, is that bird's beak layered in a way that as you repaired the crack, you had to do it a couple of times or once for each layer, so to speak?
A toucan's bill is highly layered. It's a bunch of compressed thin layers of keratin. So when it breaks, it all flakes off and cracks. And that's why a toucan's bill can actually completely come off. And so what we did today was secure and bridge the biggest crack. And now it's solid so that we don't risk more layers coming off and more cracks occurring that would render him without a bill. And so we've really been able to help Bob today by using those dental composites and filling in all those cracks and layers and giving him a nice secure beak. It's functionally normal now.
And so what was your fee for doing this today?
My pleasure.
Good.
And we are incredibly grateful for all of your help and expertise and equipment and supplies to be able to perform these techniques. I hope you've had a good time.
I have. And it's a privilege to work at such a great facility and with a world-class veterinarian like Dr. Fish.
Thank you.
Anyone? Add or subtract?
Is it traumatic for the bird?
Oh, good question. The good news is that it's not traumatic to Bob. Actually, those top layers are sensitive but don't have pain as a tooth would. And so if you notice, Bob was incredibly calm. He didn't need anesthesia. We were just holding him. It was a short repair. And so basically it's not painful and it doesn't bleed either. So it's imagine that's different than dentistry.
It can be. It can be. Some kids we have to use anesthesia. By speeding up the procedure and using less anesthetic for the birds, it makes it a much safer practice.
Anyone else want to weigh in here? Laura, we got the bases
So
covered?
how long does it take until that completely heals so it looks normal again?
A toucan's bill can take a lifetime to continue to grow. Some birds' beaks grow incredibly quickly, and a injury like that would grow out within a year or two. Toucan bills, unfortunately, grow at a really small rate and in a little bit of a different manner. So he will probably always have that defect for the next 5 to 10 years. He's just middle-aged and a young middle-aged, so he's going to be around for a long time with his mate. And they're a wonderful paired couple of toucans. And so it will slowly heal in a minor layer, but that repair will be on there for like a tooth repair for an extended period of time and is the essential repair, since healing alone would not be enough.
And his mate will still love him?
Yes, Louise loves Bob very much, and she is not bothered at all by his beak having a little crack in it.
Doesn't affect his kissing.
Not at all. In fact, they're a tight couple, and he's very attentive to her. And using that bill, he's great and sweet. He will feed her regularly, so she can eat on her own. But he's a pretty attentive husband toucan, and he regularly will feed her and tend to her. They use that bill to eat, and as well as keep their feathers in place so that they can fly well. So it's really important that we were able to repair his bill.
Vocalization too, right?
Yes. Yeah, a toucan's bill is hollow, and they can make really high-pitched sounds. It actually can be piercing to your ear. And so they will court each other and just talk throughout the day. And so having that beak intact is important for his vocalizations as well. So talking, eating, grooming, they use that bill as we would use our hands almost to do everything.
And his insurance covered this?
He's too young for Medicare.
Okay, I need a shot of you just looking at him. Thanks.
that good?
And just the opposite, you look at her now.
Okay.
These are called
I was.
listening shots.
And look at Greg, I'm sorry. And then back at her again. One more time, sorry. There again. Back at her.
This is easy.
Good.
Mhm.
Okay, just the opposite. You look at Greg and then back at him. And one more time. That's great. Okay.
Okay.
So, what are the similarities or differences in taking care of children and birds?
Well, children are very delicate and obviously precious, and the birds are delicate and precious. And this is something I've learned and continue to learn about working here.
Do they squirm? Does one group squirm more than the other?
Well, most children in certain ages squirm more than Bob squirmed today. And some kids, whether they're physically challenged or mentally challenged, have to be sedated no matter what. But the advantage in pediatric dentistry is we get to see the kids maybe every 6 months, and we can develop a rapport and develop trust. And they can come to a friend if they have a problem, and that's what we like. The difference with birds is we have to get in, be quick, and be effective.
Okay?
All right, good.
Excellent. Yeah.